I have sold AI trading algorithms, vending machine offers, career coaching, Amazon FBA, real estate offers, and nothing was as easy as when I was selling on Cardinal Mason's offer, selling his BizOp, making money online with AI copywriting. And it makes sense why. Like, if I just if I draw a little graph here, pull out my pen tool, we say when a lead is cold, right? And they need to be here to buy, they need to be hot, right? And it's like a spectrum, right? We've got a little spectrum here. This is a really shitty drawing. But for them to buy, they need to be here, right? And this is going to be a combination of marketing and sales. So the way that the marketing was set up and the funnel was set up was that by the time they hopped on the sales call, they were already here. So all I had to do, I was a sales rep on this offer at the time. This was last year in August 2025. All I had to do was do this last part, right? Most of the offers that I've sold on, I don't even want to draw that shit again. Most of the offers that I'm sold on, they're below the halfway point. They're like here, right? So I have to take them through the entire buying cycle. And a lot of times they're coming on, they're like, this is just an exploratory call, whatever. You just already know you're going to deal with some bullshit, right? But with Cardinal Mason specifically, it's unlike most of the offers that I've sold on where these people were ready to go a lot of the time, right? And I think it's mainly due to the marketing. So I'm going to just walk through as a pretty much a former closer on this offer. I'm going to walk through the exact marketing and sales systems that were used to actually be able to scale this to $1 million a month, actually from an insider's perspective, right? So I'm going to move myself out of the way here. Starting off with the marketing, right? So pretty much in 2024, Mason was using organic and was able to scale to around like 300K per month, I believe. And in 2025, when I joined the offer, they were just really starting to rely on paid traffic, right? And the main operator, Sanjay, he was the one who was running the ads, setting up the funnels, everything like that. And the majority of it was coming from paid, right? But the beauty of it was he had a really big personal brand as well, which really contributed to why the leads weren't cold, but it was also a lot to do with the marketing, right? So just the overall structure, right? They were running 2 webinars every single month along with a call funnel. So this is Mason's actually current webinar. He's doing like ghostwriting now. He's pivoted the offer a couple times actually. It was 2 times per month they would run webinars to cold traffic. And then on top of that, there was also a call funnel. And I'll kind of walk through specifically like how the funnels were set up. I'll kind of go back and forth between here. But cool. He was spending money on ads, right? He was spending around 10K a day. And that actually reminds me. It just reminds me of last year when I saw this tweet he made. Spending 10K a day on a call funnel, throwing up the average American salary every 4 days on Facebook, publicly hanging my lowest performing sales rep on TikTok Live. Nothing else boosts testosterone quite like this. Yeah, you can only imagine when all the sales reps are in a Discord looking at this, how happy that makes them feel. But anyway, cool. So yeah, he was spending like a decent amount of money on the call funnel, pretty much like 10K a day, and two organic webinars a week. So the paid traffic is going to the webinar funnel and it's going to the call funnel, right? And then once they opt into the webinar or even the call funnel, right? They're pretty much getting hit with Hammer Them Ads, which is essentially a strategy in the ads manager where you are just constantly hitting them. You're setting an audience, right? The audience is people who have either opted in, they've booked a call, whatever, right? And then they're getting hit with case studies, testimonials, anything like value related, right? So they're seeing so much content from Mason, even like they're going to his page as well. And the beautiful thing about Mason is that he's a big personal brand as well. So they would go to his page, watch his content, and get even more bought in, right? So it was pretty much like we were running ads, but it was essentially like they were just organic leads because the Hammer Them ads, and also they would just go to his profile and see his profile, right, and just see the value in there, see that he was like a genuine, relatable dude, and then cool. So from that point, they operate. Obviously, these are completely different, but a lot of the aspects are similar. Like they're getting hit with reminders and follow up sequences, so like before the webinar. You know, the day of the webinar, they're getting hit with like fucking 10 messages. They're getting hit with value dense emails, regardless of whether they booked the call or they hopped on the webinar. I had to add this in because at that point they're either hopping on a webinar and or the going through the call funnel and they're booking a call and from there we're just getting into the sales side of things. Or let's say, they no show the webinar or they just visited the call funnel. At that stage they're getting retargeted, right? So let's say they no showed the webinar, they're essentially there's gonna be a funnel set up that's just like a call funnel, but the VSL is just gonna be a replay of the webinar. Is going to be the same thing. It's very similar to a call funnel, and all the people that no showed the webinar are going to see that. Same thing with the call funnel. Like if they, saw the ad, they watched the webinar, they even dropped in the call funnel, and they didn't book. Boom, they're just going to be getting hit with just a ton of ads. They're just going to be getting retargeted to go to Mason's page, seeing the value Dance content, just constantly seeing him, right? Just seeing the testimonials, the case studies, everything along those lines. So the beautiful thing about it is they're watching the webinar, they're seeing the call funnel, they're getting hit with a ton of content, seeing his profile. Even if they don't book a call from the first time they go on it, they're still constantly seeing him, right? Maybe they show up to the next webinar. Maybe they just get retargeted and they keep seeing his content, right? And this is just happening over the course of days and weeks and months. They're just getting hammered. I would have people hopping on the sales calls, especially since he's been doing it for a while. I'd have people hopping on the sales calls, and they were just fucking ready to go. They had already been seeing him so much, right? So the marketing was really dialed in from that perspective. I think the biggest game changer was just the hammer them ads, and then just the retargeting, retargeting the no-shows, retargeting everyone who just visited the call funnel, who visited his Instagram profile, and just hammering them with the value dense content. So that was like what really made it simple from a marketing perspective. In terms of the funnels, it was honestly pretty straightforward. They just used Webinar Jam, just opt in for the webinar, simple, and then a thank you page, literally just pretty much hyping up the opportunity, especially with AI copywriting. It's essentially like it was a blue ocean opportunity. Like there wasn't really anyone else doing it, and it's just a very simple opportunity. Like you don't need to put money into it. You just fucking use AI, and you put in like 5 hours of work a week. That's pretty much how he marketed it, and it just attracted a lot of people. And he's one of the only people doing it, and he already had a big personal brand. So, pretty much the thank you page though was just explaining, hyping up the opportunity, going through some credibility, talking about next steps like boom, webinar is going to be on this day. Expect some emails, expect like some messages. And then, if you show up, we're giving away this, right? Just getting some buy-in for them to show up to the webinar. Similar with the call funnel. Boom. First of all, there was an opt-in page, right? So if you see this, it asks you to opt in, right? So first of all, when we get into funnel mechanics, there's some interesting things to talk about from a sales perspective. But first of all, okay, you would go to the call funnel, and then you click this. You click that link. Click this right here. All it does is have you put in your name, email, and phone number, right? And then when you click watch the free training, that's popping up in the Slack. When I was on the offer at the time, I didn't even know what that was because we would just be seeing random opt-ins come in. I didn't know what that was, honestly. I wasn't even calling no one was calling these people, which is honestly fucking brain dead now that I think about it. But anyway, cool. So you would go into here, there used to be a VSL here. It just says media not found. But a VSL just, antagonizing their problems, showing the solution, just explaining the opportunity, everything along those lines, some results as well. A type form that would qualify them, also give the sales team a lot of context into specifically, why they wanted to do this. The best question they had on here was Mason is selected with who they work with one-on-one, with who we work with one-on-one. Tell us why you would be a good fit to learn our AI copywriting strategy. It was something like that. And it was amazing because you could just tell right away who was high interest and who wasn't, right? And then boom, the thank you page again. Just expect this email, expect the call from our team, show up to the call on a laptop, whatever, all that stuff. Just explaining the opportunity as well, getting them, convincing them to actually show up to the call, and then a bunch of FAQs, just handling objections, answering common questions, as well as some case studies, right? That was just everything on the thank you page. So the funnels are pretty straightforward, right? Nothing too crazy there. I think really the funniest part of all this is the sales process because I was on the sales team and you see a lot of people saying yo, fucking I think the sales team honestly, I don't want to say it did sound like it carried, right? Because as you can see here, like the marketing was really pushing these people, but like the sales team, the one thing I will say is the work ethic was really high, and it was a culture of like actual grinders. The best part about the whole sales team and the reason it worked so well is because of the culture. But we're doing a lot of things wrong, I would say, like in hindsight, that aren't necessarily best practices. So, like for example, if let me give an analogy here, or let me give an example. So, for example, let's say, boom, someone opts in, or they click this, they opt in, they put in their information, and then they stop. They just fuck off, right? These people weren't really getting dialed. So let's say 100 people go through, 100 people put in their information here, and 10 people actually book a call and show up, right? And let's say theoretically you spend $1,000 on ads, and 10 people show up. What's your cost per call there? I'm Indian, so I'm good at math here. I'll help you all out. That's $100 per call. That's your cost per call. But then now, let's say these people are all getting dialed. A setter's calling them, right? And let's say that even 5 more people book a call. Now 15 people have booked a call, and you spent $1,000 on ads. Maybe I'm not that good at math actually, because I don't know what that is, but it's definitely less than $100. It's definitely less than $100. So, because what would happen is all these people were getting sent to Slack. So, hang on, let me add a screenshot in here. This is an example, dude. This is just a random offer I'm on. I really can't be fucked to blur out their names, honestly. But anyway, this is just an example, right? People would be coming in, and if they fill out the ad, if they book a call, they'd be filling out the type form. Or if they don't qualify, right? They might not qualify for the call, but they still fill out the type form. The setters would be calling all of those people because there'd be some context. They would have their name. Because let's say they have like $1,000 to invest, right? And they say like, so they can't book a call, but the application is really good. They're like, I'm 22 years old. I really want to break out of the 9 to 5. This is my dream. I've been watching Mason for years. I'm ready to go. Fucking, I'm on that shit. Like when I was setting, fucking, that is mine, you know? But when you're a setter, and I didn't know what was going on, right, when I first joined, and you just see, a name, email, a phone number, I can't be fucked to call them when I have people with actual applications, right? And no one was calling them. Like, literally no one was calling them. But the beauty of this is, if you actually have a good sales system, if people are just opting in before they even go book a call, you can actually lower the cost per call by getting more of these people to actually book in if you're actually good at sales, right? So that was one like really low-hanging fruit that the sales team was missing out on, I would say. Another massive one is, when I know a lot of teams, right, when someone actually books in a call, they go through this whole process, they book in a call. Most teams have a triager who's just calling these people right away, like within the first 5 minutes, being an initial touch point, making a group chat. We didn't have that. Honestly, like the closers would just like even when I was closing on this offer, right? I would just fucking get to them whenever I got to them, whether that was that night, the next day. I would send them a text half the time. I wouldn't even call them. I'd just be like, "Yo, this is my name was Kevin." I was like, "Yo, this is Kevin from Mason's team. What's good, dude? We have a call on this day. Here's some resources." Right? So the thing that's really funny to me now is like after being on different offers, obviously you need to have a dialed-in sales system. You need to be like calling these people, but realistically, like that's kind of just the thing about this offer. Like the marketing was good and his personal brand was so good, it didn't matter. We didn't need to call these people within 5 minutes because they were gonna fucking show up anyway, right? So that was something that was just, you can just tell like there was a lot of leeway there. Um, so anyway, in terms of the sales process, like they submit an application, we get all the context about them, so like why they want to book in the call, you know, what's kind of held them back in the past. That's all in the type form. Their financial readiness at the moment. Setter, if so, it's like they submit the application, they don't have the financial readiness to actually book in the call. Then boom, a setter will call them, qualify them, and they'll either downsell them or set them on the closers calendar. Right? At a certain point, like when we hit $1 million a month, honestly, almost 6 figures of that probably came from downsells. When I hop on offers now and they don't have a downsell, that's one of the first things I'd set up, especially for bringing on setters, because that's more money for the setters. It helps them like improve their skill set. It's more money for the business. Like a downsell, especially in like coaching and info, especially with these biz ops, is honestly fucking essential, right? So boom, either downsell, set them on a closer's calendar. Um, you set them on a closer's calendar, you make a group chat, send some pre-call resources, the closing call hits, right? And then, or they just book a call, and what was happening again, the closer was triaging that night, but what could be improved there is a setter calls them again within 5 minutes, makes a group chat, boom, same thing, sends the resources, book a call. I could have made this like one. But anyway, that's the entire system. It's really not too complicated. It was 2 monthly webinars with a call funnel. There's essentially just retargeting. There was hammer them ads, so retargeting essentially people who visited his profile, people who no-showed a webinar, people who just hopped in the call funnel and didn't actually book. They're just getting hammered with ads until they actually go to the webinar and just book a call, or they just book a call through the call funnel. And then after they book the call, the sales team is, I mean, they're not calling them right away, but they're calling them, eventually, send them a text, and it's fucking just going from there. So I think the biggest things that could really have been improved from this, again, just from like a sales perspective, would have just been calling all of these people that just opted in, as well as calling them quicker, especially the people that book calls. So honestly, hit $1 million a month because they're spending $10K a day on ads, but who knows? Like, if there was like even just a triager who is actually competent, that could have been like, much more money for the actual business, right? It's really actually interesting because I feel like I've seen this with a lot of info offers where, it's really big at one point and then boom, I'm not gonna lie, in a couple months it just fucking crashed, right? It was like scaling, like, hit like an 800K, 900K, $1 million a month, and then it was like 800, 500, 300, and then it kind of just went downhill. But like honestly, that peak from like fucking probably April to like maybe like October was a fucking like glorious run. I'm not gonna lie, I had a great time as a sales rep in general. And now even just like reflecting on it, it makes sense why like a lot of this stuff worked, because the ads were good, like the nurturing was good, he had a good personal brand, and honestly the sales reps, the culture was just really good. I'm not even gonna lie. That was probably the best part about the sales team. Just everyone was bought in, and the culture was just amazing. So yeah, if you want similar sales and marketing systems implemented into your business, then just check the link in the description down below. And I hope you guys have a good night. Peace.